welcome you all to PHP Developers Meetup number 19. So, I'd like to call upon our first presenter for today, Samir.
Hello, I'm Dave. Let me stay over this side. Today my topic is PHP Software Architecture, and the subtopic is writing scalable code. So let me go ahead and start my counter here. Okay, so introduction. My name is Nyaupane, and I am a lead developer working currently as a lead developer for a company called Credit. It's a US-based company. And I've been doing software development for, especially PHP, for like 6 years now. I can say more than 6 years. So let's start with the slide. So around 4 months ago, let me tell you a story. So around 4 months ago, I wrote an article. Is the sound okay? Sound? Yes. This is all right. Thank you. So PHP Software Architecture Part 1, and it was MVC. So I wrote this 4 months ago in Medium. It's an article that I wrote. So I wanted to write because there was not much of a clarity on how people would go to building bigger applications once they start with MVC or the basic layer of separations to the MVC. So I started writing this, and I got really good response for it. I didn't really expect any response because this was my first time writing a technical blog post of any size. So that's pretty good that I got some response. I wrote that, and then I wrote part 2, and then I wrote part 3, then part 4 of course. So this was the series that I wrote. And what happened is, like, after I wrote those, I think it was after a week or so, I got somebody who wrote an article on Medium, so it was quite interesting. He actually wrote a reply as an article to the series that I wrote. So especially on the part 4, so he was trying to say that your code is not as refactor. Maybe I can go and refactor a bit more. So this guy's name is Mantas Donalevicus. Very hard to pronounce his last name because he is from Europe, Lithuania. And then I was really happy. I was not really sad because I was really happy. He had some misunderstanding on what I was doing on the article series, and I reached out to him and then talked to him, and of course we became friends after that. And I also wrote a reply on the part 4 of what he did and linked to his article. So that's the story I have here. So that was what happened. So let me go next. So after that, around similar time, I was looking at PHP developer group. So who here is a group of PHP developer group? I mean, like, who is a member here? I think pretty much, all of us, right? Most of us. So yeah, and I saw this post, and then the post talked about what are we going to talk on 19. So please suggest what would be interesting. So I saw that scalability and optimization was on the top. So I was like, yeah, I could talk about that because I wrote about this, PHP architecture, and I've been doing those kind of things. So I was, it was quite interesting. I thought of applying. Then I saw this. So Sakarji, he, posted this. So I was like, let me just give it a try. I have not really spoken to an audience, like big audience people, so let me just give it a try. So I just applied this, and then we're here on PHP Developers 19, and it's a good experience. Yeah, please forgive me if I make any mistakes because this is the first time I'm trying to speak on, like, let's say an audience of in technical subjects. So if I make a mistake, I'm sorry to say that. So let's go on the next slide over here. Yeah, so let's start with the MVC. So how many of you here have been working with PHP, let's say doing PHP development? Okay, I can see some raise of hands. So, MVC, I guess you're familiar with MVC because the first thing you encounter as a architecture is an MVC on any framework like Laravel, and the MVC of course stands for Model View Controller, and you can see like it was formulated by a guy called Trygve Rinskov. That's the guy over there, an old man now. He's from Norway. So he actually did not anticipate it to be something that is really widespread to web frameworks and in the web, but he actually did it for, let's say, desktop applications. And it was a bit different on how he modeled MVC. But for web, we use it as a diagram on the right. You can see this diagram. And MVC is very simple. It just has 3 layers: model, view, and controller. And the user interacts, gives command to the controller, and the model controller gives instruction to the model, and it will change. And the model will, give you the changes, and the view will receive the changes. And the view is what the user sees. So he can see what it changed. The actions is a closed loop process, and the user can see what changed, what he changed, and what other people changed through this closed loop process. So that's MVC. Yeah, as you build software, like if you're new, of course, you may not know much about architecture and you may have tried a bit of MVC. So if you want to scale it a bit, then now the problems start coming with MVC. So let's first go over the benefits of using MVC. Yeah, you have separate into 3 layers as we talked about, and it makes maintaining small applications somewhat easy. So it is a good step of instead of just writing your code without any direction or in any state, you can use MVC to do small tasks. That is quite good. So the downsides comes when you want to have a big application and you want to scale it and you want to write code, and maybe it's going to live, the software is going to live for, let's say, 1 year or 2 years or more than that. And now the problem starts coming out. So it happened to me long ago when I started coding, and I was working on a travel project, and then I had to scale it because there were lots of codes that had to be written, and then it was not finished. And this code was going quite big, and I was just using MVC, of course. I was using Laravel at that time, and I didn't know how to scale it at all. And I was like, I have to do something before this gets very messy and it gets hard to maintain. So I looked around and I searched for alternatives. So the alternatives, right? So I went around and searched in Google and check out some of the authors who have written about those kind of things. And we have some alternatives. So BDD and TDD, not exactly alternatives, but people often make a mistake of saying they have the alternatives, but it's not. So that's one confusing point I just wanted to include. And we have DDD, then we have hexagonal architecture, and we have onion architecture there, and clean architecture. So let's go with BDD and TDD. Let me just give you a small description of BDD and TDD. BDD stands for behavior-driven development, and TDD stands for test-driven development. And those things are also useful for scaling your code, but it's also about how maintaining your code also and making something easier to add later. That's that. But it does not really enforce a structure to what you do in your application. You could just have utility and apply any kind of other architecture such as hexagonal or onion or clean, anything. So TDD is not really, it just enforces certain way of doing things. You have to use dependency inversion and those kind of things if you do TDD, and that's really good. But it's not really an architecture that defines how you code. So let's go over the first one. So I will just go through each one briefly so you can understand a bit. So DDD stands for domain-driven design, and this was introduced by Eric Evans. You can see the guy over there, and in his blue book, so domain-driven design book. So that's called the blue book, and he did it in 2003. So let's see what he has like a structure for coming up with solving the architecture problems in software. So that's how the structure is a bit. And you can see in the diagram, this is the basic architecture overview. One thing I didn't like about this architecture was it had a lot of moving parts. More than necessary if you want to just scale from MVC to something stepping up from MVC. And it has a lot of things, repositories, entities, services, a lot of things. So, one problem with this is like, yeah, okay, you can go and learn about all those things and, read the book. But it's not really feasible if you already have an application that's MVC. Now you have to restructure your code or you have to rewrite it from the first. So that's one problem we have with DDD. So DDD is very complicated. Mind is very complicated. That's the full diagram of DDD. And it has a lot of moving parts. It's more than one can handle if you're just going into how to architect your code. So yeah, this is not really a good alternative for, let's say, beginners who are just going through MVC. So we'll just skip it. We're not going to look about how it works. So hexagonal architecture is next one. And this alternative I found it through his blog, hexagonal architecture. And there was also a talk in Laracon about hexagonal architecture by Chris Vidal. That's where I found about this architecture. And it was found by a guy called Alistair Coburn, and that's the guy over there. I got it on his blog, his picture. And yeah, so let's look at the architecture. Hexagonal architecture. Yeah, sorry, the image is a bit blurry because that's the image he has on the blog. It's a bit small. And the application you have, well, the concept of this hexagonal architecture is the application is in the middle, all the code that you have, and everything else is surrounded by adapters and interfaces that connect to the web or the database. Everything else is a detail. So the problem with this architecture here is like now you have to, if you're just doing web development, and PHP is just web development, right? So it's not desktop application or whatever we're working. So there is no point in making a web into a detail because you do not need that much layer of separation. If you're building interfaces for the web too, that's it separates your application as a bit of sandbox. And yeah, it is good if you are also accessing your application from the CLI command line or other mediums and sockets or not the web, something else. Then that's good. But this layer of separation is not really good for a typical web application because most of the time we're just building for the web. It's HTML and CSS and what we see on the web, and it's on the browser. All right, let's move on to the next. Next one is called Onion architecture. So this was done by Jeffrey Palermo, and I found it in his blog too. And that's the guy. And that's the link, of course, and you can just search his name or the architecture and you will find it easily on Google. Lots of people follow it too. And let's look at the diagram. So the onion architecture is just like the onion, we have an onion. It has layers of different layers of code or different separations, like say design patterns. Right? So if you are like doing architecture, design patterns also come in, they are really, you can separate them because design patterns are used to give the shape to the architecture. So design pattern is something that is a bit, it is also a bit complicated if you have not done it before, but that is really important. Like if you have to learn about repositories and you have to learn about different things like factories. So let's say a repository, for example, is something that hides how the data is stored and how the data is retrieved. So if you just use a repository, it does things in behind and you don't have to worry about storing data. That's what repository is. And the next one would be, let's say, factory. Factory is an object or let's say class that is used to make other classes. So it's like a factory. So factory makes new things, right? So we can understand that way. And it makes new objects as the application needs. So design patterns, there are I think around like 25 or 30 or more than that design patterns. And you can of course create your own design pattern if you so desire. And that would be a different talk and it would take like, it would take whole time to just discuss about design patterns. So I'm not really going to do that here, but I would like you to, research and learn about those things too if you are, new to it. Let's go with clean. Yeah, so onion architecture, yeah, this one, why the problem is here is also the similar problem here. Everything else is a detail. You can see the infrastructure on the bottom. It says, web is also a detail. So you can do this way, but it's a bit complicated for our need right now. Yeah, clean architecture, a famous guy, Uncle Bob, and his full name is Robert C. Martin, and he is really famous for software stuff. He does a lot of talk to, and yeah, so clean architecture has also similar thing. One thing Uncle Bob says is, he says, the web is a detail, and you have to, the frameworks are also a detail. And the frameworks are not really trustable, they are not reliable because they might just screw you and the frameworks might die. So that's what his logic is. But I beg to differ on that because if you're using a framework like I said Laravel, what happens is you are not really going to change the framework. And Laravel would of course be there for a long time. Like, let's say for Symfony, it has been there for more than 9 years. Symfony has been there for 9 years. If the framework is good, it's going to last, of course, and you are not going to change the framework just for your application. If you are going to change the framework, you know that the application should, of course, be well architected from first. So it's not really a good way to do the things if you already have MVC application. So let me go to something called extensible architecture, which as you can see is like myself. I just gave it a name because I was going through MVC, then I was trying to scale with some design patterns over it, and then I didn't really have a name because I was using it for 2 or 3 applications that I was building, and then I did that. And of course, when I write an article or give a talk, I really need a name, so I gave it a name when I was writing the article. So it's just extensible architecture because it can be easily extended. You can add your own design pattern or your own extra layer if you need. It's not really constrained. So if we go here, it has a really simple structure. We have the familiar MVC right here, model view controller. Controllers are on the top, and the models are on the bottom, as you can see. And they are going through a layer design pattern called repositories, and everything that is stored on the model or the database is in like a detail, and you can go through repositories from there. And since of course like the interfaces and adapters are really needed, and those things are sometimes the external API you're using might change. And in that case, adapters are really needed. So we have adapters for external APIs. The main logic of your code is on the domain. And it could also be in services, but services have something that logs, like if you are logging what you're doing, the actions in your application, then that would be in service. Something that is not really related to the application can be in services. And of course, controllers, the request comes from HTTP to the web to the controller, and it passes through domains. So let's see a bit of different structure for that. Different structure for that is a bit easier to understand here. The front end has controllers and domains, and you can use some common, services, adapters, and repositories. Those are common, so you don't have to. If you have something that's on the front end, you have an application on the front end, and there's a admin section for the back end where you can do different kind of things. Then you can reuse the services, adapters, and repositories. That way, you don't have to duplicate the code for the front end and the back end. So you can reuse those services. That way, you can easily scale, and you don't have to worry about duplication. So that's that over there. And yeah, let's move on to the next one. So yeah, how do you find the articles? The articles that I wrote can be found. Yeah, one thing I did mention is like I'm going really fast over here about architecture and these things. So if you want to look at it in details, if you just search for PHP Software Architecture on Google, then it's on the top. It comes as the top, PHP Software Architecture on the HackerNoon. That's my article series, so it's really easy to find. And you can go over there. I even have examples of how you would implement the architecture, the extensible architecture on an application. So I have examples there with the code, and you can go through that. So here just samples, so I can get your feet wet, and then you can go and research over there. So yeah, that's that. Let's move on. Yeah, do you have any questions? Yeah, if you have any questions, you can ask right now. If not, then we're good to go. I guess no questions, right? Okay, no problem.
I have two disagreements with you.
All right, sure. So you can.
I'm allowed to disagree.
The
The first disagreement would be like I would not consider BDD or TDD to be a software architecture, but rather a mindset to develop software and a general day-to-day practice, rather than a complete software architecture. Another one is like in your talk, I appreciate you bringing this topic about software architectures in a meetup, but it's I kind of felt that you're kind of biased towards extensible architecture. But the gist of every software architecture is basically to reorganize your code in a much manageable way so that it can handle whenever we need to scale, right? So even if we look at the hexagonal architecture, or if we look at the onion architecture, or even with the extensible architecture itself, the gist of it all is just to build separate out your whole entire business logic that you would consider as a software, apart from anything else. Like anything else, it would mean like even your databases, even your way of gathering inputs. It might be an HTML like form, basic multi-part form, or it might be another database. It might be some key value storage in memory storage or anything like that. But the gist of every software architecture is like the basics where to start is I think like first start out by separating out your core business logics as a software from any input or output medium. So that's where like hexagonal and onion and even the extensible software architecture focuses heavily. But I think like I think that's a good way to start, discussing software architecture rather than directly jumping to the conclusion about advantages and disadvantages of which one to follow. Because the real advantages of a cleaner software architecture comes much later when you scale, right?
Okay, so yeah, so you have two questions, right? Or let's say one is like a bit of disagreement, so no problem. Let's go. So the first one that you have is like what you said is yeah, that is the first one is not really a disagreement because I already told you right in the bracket that it says I really don't think that they are for TDD and for BDD they are not really in software architecture that you can follow. It's like just a way for you to maintain your code. It's a different thing. Of course, you have to do dependency. It's like let's say dependency inversion and those kind of things if you are following TDD. But they really do not worry about architecture. They don't really care about what architecture you're following. It just has to be, code has to be testable. That's the thing. So I agree on the first one. So that's not really a disagreement on the first one. Second one is a bit different. So that's really good, yeah, healthy to think, right? You have to first go through your architecture. Let's say you try out like DDD or you try out like hexagonal. That's a good way to do it too. I'm not saying like you have to do it my way, right? That's not really the way. The thing is, you have to really go and like research and find out what you would like. Maybe some people like hexagonal that suits for their application, right? So you can go and if you have time, you can go over and try it out different applications and see what you like. So what you're saying is good. You have to go and find out what you need and what you want. And sometimes you also may need to have adapters and everything and put interfaces and all kind of endpoints or different things you're interacting with. That is a really good way to do it. If you are also, going for the web and for the CLI, and your application is going to be used and it's going to be even accessed by let's say terminals and those kind of things. And for that, yeah, go ahead and use DDD or you can follow hexagonal or you can follow any other ones, right? So that is very good. I'm not saying they are all bad. That's for your use case, for my use case, for what I had to do. My own architecture was really, what I needed. So I didn't need really extra complexity if I don't need this complexity, right? So that's what it is. So if you need the complexity because your application is going to be complex, you already know it from the first. You did not start with MVC, then that's good. But if you did, if you start already from MVC and you just want a bit of architecture, so your code does not, start smelling because you're just throwing code here and there. So I think just going through MVC and adding your own design pattern is a good way to do it too. So yeah, thank you so much for your question. So yeah. So any more questions you have? I guess we don't have any questions, right? Yeah. Thank you so much. So I have one more thing over here. So yeah, we're hiring. So this is actually not my company, but my friend he works there, and then Splendor Group. If you are interested in some jobs. We have available positions for PHP developer and also for WordPress developer and front-end developer. So you can send your, you can contact me or my friend Suman here, or you can send your, CV to info@splendorgroup.org. So if you're interested, yeah, that's the hiring section over here. And yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time. And if you have any further queries or questions that you were maybe hesitant right now, you can go to my website and find my contact details, or you can contact me through Facebook or through Twitter. And I'm also writing a new series on PHP test-driven design, how to do testing. So that is, I have already part 1 and 2 on my Medium blog, and I'm because of a bit of time constraint, I have not completed that. I'm going to continue with that. So you can check that out if you're interested and how to write testable code. So yeah, thank you so much. Good. I just finished in 25 minutes. That's awesome.
Thank you, Sumin. And I wish you very good luck for all what you're doing. Now, moving on to our next